Today we're gonna be talking about what a whole food plant-based oil-free diet is. So let's first start off by breaking down the word. Let's start with the first part, whole food. So we eat foods in its whole form, like a mandarin. The only ingredient here is just a mandarin. The only ingredient here is a lime. The only ingredient here is rice. Only ingredient here is beans. It's food in its whole form. There is nothing taken out of it. There is nothing added to it. It's just a whole food. Okay. Plant-based. Everything that you see here is made from plants. That's as simple as it gets. We truly get to enjoy foods that are high in starch, high in carbs, such as potatoes, winter squashes, oats, rice, beans, legumes, veggies, and fruits. If you're hungry, you eat. You eat anything from this group of foods, and you won't gain weight, and you will be fine. Then you get to enjoy in moderation whole nuts and seeds and nut butters, whole grain flours and breads, plant-based milks, and we don't really eat any processed meats other than tofu and tempeh, but again, that's just in moderation. When I say you need to eat in moderation, like you do, just because they're higher in calorie density, so especially if you're trying to lose weight, like they're just really not gonna help you out. That doesn't mean that you should fully avoid them. For example, when it comes to fat, I like to use them almost like as a condiment. Sometimes I like to drizzle some nut butters like tahini, which is just grounded sesame seeds, or like if I'm eating a meal, I may throw some avocado. Like I won't eat a full avocado, but maybe 1/4 of one or half of one. They're still healthy for you, but that doesn't mean that you should be overeating them. If you're hungry and you want a snack, reach for a fruit. Don't reach for a bowl full of nuts. Even though we don't calorie count here, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be aware of calorie density. We fully avoid or minimize any animal products such as meat, poultry, seafood, eggs, dairy products, and we also minimize refined sweeteners, oils, and bleach flours. Let me explain oils to you the best way that makes sense to me. So everything about this avocado, every single nutrient in here plays a key part for you to be able to fully process it. So those oil comes from what used to be a whole food, and it gets broken down, and eventually they leave all the nutrients and minerals behind, and all you end up with is just pure fat. Fats, they're not fillings, they don't have any fiber. Like 3 tablespoons of olive oil, it's equivalent to close to 400 calories, right? And you can eat that like it's nothing. Versus if you were to eat 400 calories worth of potatoes, rice, a fruit, it's gonna keep you full for longer. It's a whole food. So when it comes to oil, like there's two sides to it. There is the side about how it's not a whole food, and then there is the other argument that it's just not good for your health, it's not good for your blood, it's not good for your arteries. And when it comes to that, I am not a physician, I am not a nutritionist. Like, you know, I don't feel comfortable advising you on that. But I have created a playlist that you can check out after you're done watching this video, and I have dropped a clip in there that tells you more in depth about why oils are bad for you. Please go watch that playlist that I put together for you and educate yourself, you know? Question what you have been taught. I used to be terrified of potatoes. Everybody always taught me that potatoes were high in sugar, they were bad. For me, I come from a family where there is diabetes on both sides of the family, so potatoes for me were a no-go. Then I read The Starch Solution by Dr. McDougall, and I actually learned that this potato right here has every single mineral and nutrient that you possibly need except for vitamin B12. In the last 3 years that I've been eating this way, I've been eating lots of potatoes and I've lost a ton of weight. I really have regained control of my life. Around 2 months ago, I got some blood work done, and everything was above average. The potato has gotten such a bad rep. People associate potatoes with gaining weight, associate potatoes with diabetes, but nobody ever questions what usually is paired with a potato. When you eat a potato, you don't eat a potato by itself. A plain potato is boring, right? So what do people usually put in them? People usually load up potatoes with butter, sour cream, cheese, bacon, and that's what's making you sick. It's not this guy right here. You can literally get every single vitamin and mineral that you need in your diet except for vitamin B12. You need to stop having an all or nothing mentality. People, they tend to hear that one food's good for them and they obsess over it and they overdo it, and that is not what you have to do with this way of eating. As long as you eat a little bit of everything, you should be fine. The only way that people that eat meat get vitamin B12 is by eating meat. And that is not even because the animal itself naturally carries B12, but it's because the animal eats dirt. Therefore, when you're eating meat, you're indirectly getting the vitamin B12. For this way of eating, you can get vitamin B12 as a form of a supplement. You can either get it from your doctor as a shot, you can get it as a pill, or you can get it as a spray. For me, I choose a spray just because supplements that come in a pill form, they're just not that great for your liver. But when it comes to the spray form, there's two kinds of vitamin B12, and that's important for you to watch out for. There's a natural occurring kind that they sell in a spray form, then there is a synthetic kind that they sell in a spray form. The synthetic kind of the vitamin B12 is called cyanocobalamin. That kind you want to avoid. But when you're looking for vitamin B12 in the spray form, just get the natural kind, which is called methylcobalamin. So I don't know if you can read it, but right here is methylcobalamin. I just take a spray of this daily. If you end up having too much of it, you just pee it out. I would advise you that you get in the habit of taking this from day one. I will leave a link to the one I use in the description below. Just a disclaimer, if you start to eat this way, you might get hungrier a lot more frequently. And that's because you're eating foods that are lower in calorie density than what you're used to. That's normal. And at that point, you just eat. When it comes to fats, don't obsess too much about it. Sometimes I have dishes that are higher with fats. And then other days I have dishes that are just lower in fats. If you just keep eating this way, it all just evens out. If you're trying to supplement protein, go to beans. Don't be scared of whole wheat. The only time you should really be truly eating gluten-free is if you were to have celiac disease. But if you don't, you're fine as long as you're eating whole wheat because it's a whole grain. Don't confuse that with white flours. You know, white flours, they have been processed, they have been bleached. Those are the ones to avoid. If you're gonna give this a shot, like actually give it a real shot for what it is. If you're gonna come into this trying to do like a low carb approach, like you're not going to succeed. That is just not sustainable. At that point, you're not getting enough calories. You need your carbohydrate. You need your starches. Those should be the center of every single meal that you have. And at that point, then you start to dress up your plate. If you're gonna come into this while still keeping your oils in, you're not gonna see the benefit that comes from not eating it. Am I perfect? No. Do I end up having them sometimes? Yes, I do. But it's not something I do too often. At the end of the day, like I still keep losing weight and I still keep thriving because my diet, I'd say between 90 to 95% of the time, is all whole foods, plant-based, oil-free. And again, don't forget that there's no one nutrient that is all nutrients. There's no one food that is a magic food for everything. One documentary that I really recommend you watching is the Forks Over Knives documentary. It really puts things into perspective for you. You know, when it comes to big pharma and all those companies, their best interest is not you and your health. Their best interest is to get you to be a customer that keeps going back, that keeps needing those pills, that keeps giving money. Their job is not to try to get you to get healthy. It's such like a money-driven industry. I really like buying this Forks Over Knives magazine. The name's really cool because the whole logic behind it is that you heal yourself by the food that you put into your mouth with your fork in order to avoid going under the knife with surgery. I think that's a pretty powerful statement and I love it. You can buy these magazines at Sprouts or Whole Foods. You can also get them online through forksoverknives.com. All of the recipes in here are whole food, plant-based, oil-free. I'm not gonna lie, like most of the recipes are pretty good, but every now and then there are some recipes that are a little bit questionable, but that's okay. Every new magazine comes out around every 3 months. And so every single magazine is filled with recipes with foods and fruits that are in for the seasons. As for myself, like I really like to get creative in the kitchen. I even went as far as taking the Forks Over Knives Brooksby cooking course to really learn how to season my food and how to prepare my food. So any recipes that you may see, like I enjoy it. They're all whole food, plant-based, oil-free. My favorite book is The Starch Solution by Dr. John McDougall. This book like literally has everything that you need and more. This book right here is gonna keep you sane when everybody around you is just questioning you and what you're doing. It's an easy read. It comes with a bunch of recipes at the end. And for every fact that you're given, he gives you multiple studies behind it that you can backtrack and you can make up your mind for yourself. Truly become an advocate for your own health and do your research and make up your mind on things. Another book that I find really cool and a lot of people tend to like is the How Not to Die book by Dr. Greger. Really cool book, has a lot of information. Me personally, I prefer the Starch Solution. It's an easier read and I just really love how Dr. McDougall puts things into perspective. If you go to my channel, I made a little playlist. I tried to choose videos that were each around 3 minutes long or shorter. Also, I left a few useful links down below. I left you a link to Forks Over Knives. Forks Over Knives has a whole entire website that is filled with recipes, it's filled with education. And then also I left a link to Dr. John McDougall's actual website. He has a ton of free resources, and again, he has a ton of recipes, and also he has a whole little education section too. And there is just so much that you can go and read. Go check those out. So make sure to look at my description, make sure to look at my playlist. And that's what I have for today. If you like this video, please make sure to like, subscribe, turn on that bell, and make sure to follow my socials. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.